Hello everybody, welcome to Overwatch 101. Today we're going to be talking about subclasses, understanding what they are, and how to play both against them and with them, creating a healthier team comp, and therefore winning you more games. So first we're going to delve into what is the true attack class. In the attack class you have flankers, snipers, assault, and marksmen. We'll start with flankers. Flankers are most obviously Genji and Tracer. Flankers are known for their high mobility, their ability to disrupt the team's defense usually, and the ability to break chokes. Most of these pros are definitely utilized on attack more so than defense, therefore putting them in the attack category. Next we have snipers. Snipers are the only characters in the game besides old Roadhog who have one-shot potential. The ability to take an entire person right off the map and make it so that they cannot ult with their team and stack ults if necessary is great, but it's only great to have on attack. Doing that on defense oftentimes, especially in lieu of a defense character or a tank, is going to not only decrease your health pool for your supports, but your ability to hold ground relies on you hanging back, so you can't contest payloads, you can't contest points, you're really just not good at contesting. So they're put in the attack category for that reason, and not only that, they also have the ability to recon, you have recon arrows and Widowmaker's ult. Both I think are incredible abilities that are far more useful on attack, finding out where the defenders are coming from and having your team already know where they are, being able to aim ultimates or abilities down to whichever side they're coming from. Usually defenders have a two-sided choke, maybe three-sided choke situation where they have to choose left or right or split push in onto the point again, or even on a payload map where you're making alternate routes and such. So that's a great ability to have an attack to protect yourself and your teammates. Next is called Assaults. Assault class, I call them the Hunters class. Hunters mostly because they have very specific targets. So Pharah, for example, can very easily hit Squishy's opponents, especially opponents that can't shoot high, whereas Reaper is just an all-out tank buster, especially with his new update. They both have very high-impact ults, but their ults take place in close quarters combats, which is exactly why they're differentiated from the next class, the Marksman and Hit Scan, as most people call them. They're flexible on attack and defense, which is why they're actually on the end of this picture, on the end of this graph, because you can kind of use them just as effectively on defense because of their high impact ults that have range. Range is very important on defense for the most part. Flankers do have a generally close quarters combat style of fighting, so if you can get some extra damage on them before they jump on you, if you're a really good marksman, for example, then you can utilize that and make sure to grab the pick with someone else like a diver or bruiser. Now we go on to what we know as defense. We're going to talk about builders. We already have started to understand Symmetra's role as a builder and not so much as support. She is a hybrid in comparison to Torbjorn because of that teleporter. Pretty much just a shittier res. The shield generator too, for sure, is much more high impact than Torbjorn's armor. But together they make quite a high impact health pool for your healers and your tank, everyone involved really. But regardless, they have area control, they have zoning, and for the most part they're anti-flank. I would say it's a very light way of anti-flank because both Tracer and Genji, if there's a room full of Symmetra turrets and Tracer is about to die, she'll blink or recall out, whereas Genji will swift strike through most of that. Torbjorn does a better job of zoning technically, but Symmetra is about area control. Those are two different things. Area controls, I would describe it as more close quarters, where zoning is a long range thing. Torbjorn's turret is very good against the Symmetra, who doesn't at that point know that the turret's location. So if you have the jump on a Symmetra and you're switching your turrets up a lot, she's gonna have a hard time. It just auto locks onto her just as hard as a time as with a really, really good Widowmaker, a really, really good hit scan. Next in the defense class, we have two, and they kind of have separate rules, but they do the same thing, and the ability to shrink the health pool of the enemy team down to just a little sliver. Bastion is a tank buster and shield buster, whereas Junkrat is a shield buster for the most part. So Orisa, Reinhardt, even Winston. And Junkrat's a little unique in this class because he kind of feeds Zarya on accident. His projectiles are some of the slowest in the game, so a smart Zarya can outplay a Junkrat. Most of these characters, they fit in this class, but they still have very unique characteristics about them. For example, Pharah and Reaper being totally different opposite spectrums in terms of who they target and how they move. But they both pretty much just do a shit ton of damage, if I had to describe them. So they're shredders, as I would refer to them. Next in the class is a very unique snowflake. We have Mei. She's a staller, or just stall. It means a lot of things in a way. She's heavy CC. She's the only one that can really, really freeze people in place almost all the time. It's always available to her, that crowd control. She's kind of anti-dive because if, say for example, you have a boosted Rhine just coming onto the point right there, you can just throw your ult out and it negates most of that huge dive efforts, not as well as Sombra, which we'll get to later. And because of all her abilities and her light building, she's to some degree an off tank. So if you ever want to switch into Mei, you make sure to switch one of your tanks out. Don't switch Mei out for a marksman or any attack defense. Maybe some defense, it really depends, but don't trade her out for damage, and obviously don't trade her out for healing. That's very important on defense. Extremely important. And mobility, which Lucio's a provider of. Now, we're going to move on to tanks. I never even knew this term because Blizzard kind of coined it in a way, but we have anchor tanks, and my understanding of that and what I've pieced together is that anchor tanks are, for the most part, about heavy shields. Zarya's a different way, shields differently, but she's a really, really good protector, which, again, will go into the point of they all peel, but all three of them also have very low mobility. So Reinhardt, Zarya, and Orisa have no way of vertical movement. They're very slow. They have all these weak points that flankers can get. When I categorize all these heroes this way, you'll notice that flankers pretty much counter a lot of these people, or at least do very well against them. Even Tracer and Genji do decently well against, Pharah, Reaper, and even snipers, and not so much marksmen to some degree. Almost everyone on this cast, flankers do really well against, which is why dive comp is so strong. It's not actually because of dive tanks, it's because of flankers. Their kit is so good, and just moving around the map, getting the jump on someone, and having close quarters kit is really important. Mostly for Tracer, we'll get to that later. The thing that's unique about Orisa is I just think she's so bad, and her ability to peel is a lot less than the other two. And she has the biggest hitbox, lowest health pool, with no shields. Zarya at least has shields. And her abilities don't really peel that well. She's kind of a mess in terms of design. Maybe she's a weird defense shield buster. I was really, really close to actually putting her right next to Bastion. Still considering that as an option, but just know that she's barely on the list as an anchor take. I'm assuming that Blizzard will update her, fix her, and make her viable as an anchor tank. Right now, her abilities, the kit doesn't make sense. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't conjoin an idea or counter another class. Moving on, next we have divers. Everyone knows what a dive tank is at this point. For the most part, I would just describe them as light shields, high mobility. Winston is the best example of this. D.Va has a different sort of shielding mechanic, defense matrix, and right now, in a projectile heavy, or in gold at least, where Pharah's and Junkrats are really, really strong, even Tracer's, her shield, I would say, is actually one of the heaviest. So I put light shields there. Maybe should put an asterisk. Her defense matrix is what saves the team most of the time. She is very strong right now, and the only person who can really deny her of that is Sombra, surprisingly. So, or you just demech her, but it's hard to demech her. Almost no one can get through that shield. Winston and Symmetra can, Zarya can. So those are three heroes you should keep in mind, just to constantly demech her, or if you're going Sombra, just constantly hack her. She's one of the most high priority hack targets outside of health kits. All right, moving on. Our last tank is a bruiser. He's very unique. Everyone knows if you've ever played Roadhog. He's a one-man army, one-man apocalypse, as he likes to prefer call himself. But he's kind of in a weird place, especially with his new nerfs. I would think he's almost dead to some degree, but he never should have had one-shot potential to begin with. In fact, it wasn't even potential. It was a one-shot guarantee. He should still have high damage, be a light shield shredder, have his own sustain. I think that's definitely fair. His engage is what makes him interesting. I love his design. He was one of my favorite heroes when the game came out. Tracer and him played so much of those two because they're just fun. It's so satisfying to grab a hook. It's gonna make you think a lot more to play Roadhog now. He's not a one-shot kill, which I do in design agree with. I'm sad because I'm losing the good old Roadhog. But out of all the tanks, we can all agree he does the most damage and is kind of anti-tank in a way. He pretty much is a fat version of Reaper. Now we have 3 types of healers, and this is where people are probably going to be like, what? What the hell? And I would agree with you there. We have primary healers. These healers do the highest amount of healing output, and that's pretty much it. They're just there to keep the health pool up. They get ult really quick because of this, the 2 of these characters, all the time. So they'll be getting ult a lot. So they're not so much into battling. Anna used to be when her damage was high, and her grenade is great for securing kills, but remember that you don't have that to anti or heal your team. It's a risk to reward consideration you have to make. But neither of these primary healers can do much damage or contribute in terms of damage dealt. They contribute in just flat out healing. The only one who's mobile here, I had to make sure to note this, was that Mercy's the mobile primary healer, so she can move both vertically, but hers is limited by where her team is, so it's limited by good team play. Next we have secondary healers. They have low healing output. Lucio's been buffed a little bit, but still generally lower than our primary healers. But they have utility and buffs. That's what makes them unique, and they're pretty much battle healers in a way. So they can do a decent amount of damage. Zenyatta more so than Lucio, but with Lucio's buffs, his damage is admirable. I oftentimes find myself killing, even hit scan characters a lot. So utility and buffs pretty much means like a buff essentially would be Zenyatta's orb on you while you're shooting a target that's discorded. Speed boost is one of the biggest buffs in the game, most important for many times control maps or even being on defense. Sometimes getting your whole team to the payload quicker is very important. Utility is mostly their ults. They have very good utility in their ults, and not only that, but like Lucio's area of effect is utility in and of itself because you can heal everyone at the same time. And the only one I had to note this again was Lucio is the only mobile secondary healer. He's able to go off walls, climb buildings and away, whereas Zenyatta is stuck in place. This is important to note. I put these in asterisk. This is the only class I marked it for because you have to work. Healers are so important in the game, and you have to work with the map's geology. If you don't, you're gonna have a very hard time. If there's just high rises everywhere and elevators everywhere, Ana and Zenyatta are gonna have a hard time. They're better with open maps like Ilios Ruin, just flat maps. Route 66 is more a Lucio Mercy map for the most part. All the balconies and second story buildings, especially at the last point. Oh my gosh! So those are the 2 types of healers, and we know them as healers for a long time now. And I even got rid of the support category in a way because builders just fit better in defense. They're all about area control. But truly, I guess Symmetra is hybrid support. Her kit is very much tailored towards helping the team with either ult you use from her. So her ult is what makes her support. If you get rid of that, she's just a builder. Last but not least, the controversial one is our 5th healer, Sombra. People are finally starting to understand this concept that having health packs hacked is just it's secured healing. Nothing's going to happen to that healing. It's there for you always until it just becomes unhacked in a minute. But that's a very long time to go and grab some health. And it's, again, kind of area control. When I'm Tracer, every time I see a Sombra on my team, I go Tracer because I can go quickly grab her health packs, boost her ult, and get her ult almost there. Every time you use her health pack, her ult generates very, very quickly. One of the most fastest generating ults I've seen, almost many times faster than Mercy. As a healer, though, it's the lowest healing, and you're required to have a primary healer. It's a necessity. If you're gonna go Sombra, you have to have Honor, Mercy. It doesn't work any other way. And sometimes you can play her against certain comps just with 2 healers. It's the mixed bag, but a general rule of thumb for people, especially lower than GM or Masters, is pair them with a primary healer. Sombra offers a very, very unique kit because she is a heavy anti-dive, and right now you'll notice that the meta is so anti-dive and flanker. She destroys the flankers. She's the only true hard counter to the flankers in and of herself. And even divers with their light shields and high mobility, both of those go away when an EMP comes out. A normal hack is what I would just call light CC, and the off healer thing for her is just the fact that you can receive healing from these health packs. It's limiting in a way, but it's also not, because health packs can't die. It's just it's entirely different way of playing the game. Not only that, but Sombra has the ability to see weak targets, and if that's used properly, if you had a Sombra who was just really good and knew what she was doing, or you're playing in the pro scene, you could call out with whatever call outs or geographic locations oh my, Mercy is low and she's walking up the stairs of the bar, or for example. So she has a lot of knowledge. She offers support, not only in healing, but in CC, mostly CC. She's barely a healer. I would like to put her in defense because she is so much area control with her health packs, but she's enough of a healer. I mean, if you play right around Sombra, she'll play swell for you. So, since Blizzard's not willing to make these subclasses, or at least define how their game works, and all of Gold and Plat is just people not understanding this concept, I felt it was best to make a video and show what I've created, or what I've kind of gathered from the community as a whole, and put it into an image. I will, somewhere in the link of the description, put I'll put this image on a Blizzard forum, or at least copy and paste a text version of it. I don't know if I can put pictures on their forums. I'm not sure. I haven't even made one yet. But you can go there, make comments. I'll read them there. You can make comments on the video. Other than that, this is my first video as Majin Goose. I'm going to be doing more entertainment after this, as well as Overwatch 101, a look into subclasses. We'll start with flankers. We'll go in order of how it looks on this list, for the most part. So you guys can understand, each of these heroes is very different from one another. Matching them together this way still doesn't do it justice. Every hero should be their own, and I know that it's Blizzard wants, and they're kind of right about it, because all these heroes' kits are so much different. But yeah, hopefully then my next video will be a compilation of funny moments, and after that we'll do another Overwatch 101. So thanks for watching.